Greetings, nerds. This is Stain the Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
Doing very well, Sarah. How are you doing this Thursday evening?
I'm doing fine. Doing fine. I never have a good response anymore to that question. I'm like, yeah, I'm just doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just figured you'd be ecstatic with the news of Daredevil coming back today.
You know, I remembered that headline up until about an hour ago, and then I forgot about it. I don't know how to feel about it, because I feel like we're getting the Charlie Cox cut. Like, I don't know, there's something about it where, because it's not the Netflix show, and I don't really understand the details and how this will fit in. And I know he's going to be in She-Hulk, and we just saw him in Spider-Man. I don't know. And does that mean we get Foggy back? Does that mean we get Karen back? And also, why is there so much hoopla over getting Daredevil back when the Punisher stole the show in season 2 and I'm still looking for Flank, okay? That's my Daredevil rant.
That was an epic rant. It's
moving on.
Okay. No, well, I mean,
I never watched it.
Now that it's on Disney Plus, and now that they have announced that they are going to have this show, I will check it out now. Because,
okay, he has said that before, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, they keep pumping out.
No. Let me finish.
Okay.
Until they start shooting. Because we'll never know these days.
Very true. I mean, this is one of those things in development. So they apparently have hired a showrunner and a head writer. Not familiar with these guys' work at all. I mean, I never even heard of the show that they.
But I don't even know if it's worth watching the Netflix thing. You know?
Well, true. I mean, I know they did
and
put
the third season's crap, but
yeah, that's what everybody tells me. But they did put the unedited Netflix shows on Disney Plus. I mean, that's why they put the whole PIN number thing on the platform, so that people could see the original cut of those shows. So, I guess, will they continue that with the new series, assuming that it does go to production? We shall see. But I'm almost done with Rebels as far as Star Wars, and then maybe I'll pick that up. But they keep throwing so much content out. It's just hard to go back and watch old stuff now.
And this is how it starts, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, wouldn't it be funny if The Boys ever ended up on Disney Plus? Just think about that. Just mull that over. The Boys, which dropped a trailer this week. I watched the trailer. I remember the beginning of the trailer where they're like, something is wrong with Homelander. I remember the end of the trailer where Jensen Ackles is beating the shit out of someone. Do I remember anything that happened in between? No, thank you.
Those are the highlights. Well, that and then Billy the Butcher getting becoming a soup, but.
I'm trying to get that out of my mind, because I feel like that is such a season 3 plot point where I'm like, I don't want to know that. I remember in the first teaser, they teased him getting powers, and now I feel like, oh, we just got exposition trailer shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the Boys. They're The Boys. There's gonna be some surprises. I don't know. There's something about the show where, do I go back and rewatch the episodes? No, because it's a lot. But I always remember I have a really good time watching the show because it is dark, twisted in the best ways, and the actors are just incredible in these roles. So. Yeah,
exactly. I mean. Even where it gets to the place where life imitates art, because Anthony Starr is in Spain, acting like Homelander. So
I'm also trying to remove that from my mind because I don't want an Ezra Miller situation going on. Because he's one of the people who, watching the show, we always talk about his performance and his weird ability to do these ridiculous things, and yet still this tiny hope for the there's a good guy somewhere, right? I don't
It's gotta be. Yeah.
I don't
Gotta
know.
be.
Just yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, what else happened at the upfronts? A lot of big presentations, networks, streaming services, CW drama left and right.
Oh
So it
yeah.
sounds like Stargirl is being moved to the fall on a new night, which is good news because that means it's been renewed for season 3.
Well,
And
yeah. Well, it was season 3 was never in doubt. It's what everybody is wondering about is season 4, because season 3 was already in the can when all these cancellations happened.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So so we were never, yeah. So yeah, because they actually, because normally they drop the show in the middle of the summer, but yeah, but because the CW like canceled everything, they pushed it back to the fall.
Well, it's not just that though, because usually I think they used to drop them in the summer because there was such a big lineup. But now on top of that announcement, we get The Flash, Superman and Lois, and Gotham Knights will all premiere in 2023. So this scheduling stuff, I don't know when the next time we'll see a CW or whatever the new name will be lineup of shows in the fall, like the good old days, because it used to be it starts in October, it goes through May.
Yeah.
Now we're starting shows in January and they're going off for the later half of the year. And yet still, despite all of that, CW still managed to have scheduling shit issues.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because like for example, next week Superman and Lois is back, but then it's off another week, and then I think it's return some point in June, and then they have another time off, and I think the finale airs like the last week of June. But they're doing weird, funky scheduling with that show.
I almost want to watch next week's episode and wait to watch the next 2 back to back then.
Yeah, yeah.
All of this stop go, we talk about it all the time. You lose momentum and you lose understanding where the characters are. So
honestly, given all the things that are like coming out next week between Obi-Wan, Stranger Things, and and Top Gun, I mean, who knows what else? Maybe it would be good to like hold to do a full show on Superman and Lois with the whenever there's some continuity in scheduling, whenever that is.
Right. Speaking about continuity and scheduling, no decision has yet been made of this. The Flash will continue beyond season 9. I have not watched The Flash for 2 weeks.
I haven't either.
However, see that it was trending last night, and I looked at the comments on Twitter.
Yeah, I did too.
It was so funny. Like
yeah.
The show is bad. The show is so freaking bad. I am mad that even though I'm not watching it, I'm still paying for the season, and it's so bad. I'll watch the series finale because that's usually what I'll do if I check out of a show. I'm just curious about what happens. That's what I did with The 100. But no.
Yeah,
it'll take a lot for me to watch like another episode of The Flash.
Yeah, it's sad too, because that was our jam. I mean, that's how we met. As far it was The Flash, and to see how that show has just I haven't watched it. Yeah, it'll be 3 weeks for me now, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to watch it. But then I just catch up on like all the comments on Twitter, and it's more entertaining to see the comments now on Twitter about the show than the show itself, and that's not a good place. That's not a good place. Yeah, but it really at this point, given Grant's deal is I think the show will go as long as Grant wants to continue playing the role, or the new ownership of the network decides now we're going to pull the plug. Even though the president of the network today said, assuming he keeps his job, because whenever ownership changes, they typically clean house. But he's like, we're still going to be a network for DC superheroes, and I'm kind of like, yeah, but
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be for the Flash because the Flash is no
Yeah.
longer a hero. The Flash is a villain.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
And,
yeah, that was the other funny thing too. That speaking of these shows with the upfronts, the president of CW Network also noted that he's been telling showrunners to treat your season finales as potential series finales. He did say that today during their presentations, and I guess and now when I think about what Caroline Dry said about the Batwoman season 3 finale, that makes sense. Even though they did give themselves a little bit of an out, but they did kind of wrap everything up this season.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. It's never going to be as if they had decided that it was right to end the show. So it's still going to be kind of like a soft ending, but at least it's an ending.
Yeah.
Unlike Naomi, there's no next part to that, unless it gets picked up elsewhere. Highly doubt it, but who knows?
Yeah.
One thing we do know for sure is that the Wonder Twins movie is not happening on HBO
Nope.
Max. Who is surprised by this?
Exactly.
HBO Max DC thing. No, we're not surprised. I barely believe the other projects are getting made. The Rock has not stepped foot on. No, I'm not going to do that. I get it. That movie's happening, or so they say.
But going back that to my point that I was just talking about with the CW and their sale, because now you have Warner Discovery, and the new ownership group for Warner Brothers was like, no, we're not going. If it's going to be a DC project, we want it to be theatrical. No more releasing to streaming first. No more this day and date thing. And also apparently they told this movie was like way more than they wanted to spend on it. It was had a $75 million budget, and the new ownership group for Discovery Warner is like, no. If we're doing a film on HBO Max, the budget can't be over $35 million. So, yeah. So again,
Snyder is directing, right?
Well, he just goes over to Netflix. But even Netflix now, I mean, they're cutting left and right. I saw where they laid off a bunch of people this week. So, I mean, I think, obviously the pandemic helped these streaming services out. But now that people are getting back to work and stuff, it's the dollars just aren't flowing there. Plus, I mean, I think the subscriber base too. I mean, they can only grow but so much before people just do I really need this service?
Well, yes, you start to question. I know a lot of people are questioning Netflix right now because Netflix has not had as much original content that has stuck around, or maybe not stuck around, but Disney Plus is Disney Plus because of the Marvel shows and the Star Wars shows, arguably. Even though Boba Fett was trash. It's so, and because it has that consistent, look at this shiny toy, look at this shiny toy. Subscribers never question, okay, I should really turn off my Disney Plus because the next show isn't coming back until next year. No, I need to keep it on because who knows what's dropping in 2 months. But Netflix hasn't really had as much. They have a lot of crap on their platform. It's just not all good, and it's not all targeted at fans of something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Even though I know they have this whole Netflix geeked now, because I know that's what they are releasing, the Sandman trailer, or was it a trailer, or maybe just
I forgot about that project because it's been so long talked about in development, as I completely forgot about it until you just now mentioned it.
Yeah, only reason why I remember it is because I overheard, I was listening to a podcast earlier today, I think Geek Buddies or something. Yeah, it was the Geek Buddies, and they were talking about it there. But because I had forgotten about it too, and and so there's that, and of course, I guess the Umbrella Academy dropped I guess they did a trailer drop today, but I haven't seen it. But I know that's out there. But So I guess they do have some properties that they market and have a following, but it's not like you said, it's not like the Disney Plus where Star Wars and Marvel's just churning at this point, where it's just like fire hose almost.
Well, yeah, it's not mimicking what 23 episodes of television used to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not replicating network TV, which is as streaming services. If they do that, then that's how they're successful, and it's just like momentum. But not only now we're in an age where there's multiple streaming services, but now like even studios are creating their own streaming services, which for a group like Netflix, it's like, oh crap, now all of our toys get taken away from us. So it's an interesting story. I'm sure they'll make a movie about it. Will it be on Netflix? I don't know, but we should have some other stuff to talk about for sure, including a Vanity Fair Star Wars article that Will read. I did not read, but I listened to people talk about it. Star Wars. So Will can talk about his thoughts, because honestly, because of Boba Fett, like, I have a bad taste in my mouth. I am looking forward to Obi-Wan, don't get me wrong. But I'm kind of just like, I don't know. I'm just like, yeah, it's Star Wars. There's always drama.
So that Vanity Fair piece, if you're a Star Wars fan, I strongly recommend reading it. I really got into it, obviously, to the point where, as Sarah noted, I was like, made a bunch of show notes about it, because it really got into a lot of the drama, quite frankly, that they did have with the theatrical releases, and how the powers that be, Kathleen Kennedy, shifted strategies to go to follow the Marvel lead and go more the streaming route. But really going through the article, it was they basically highlighted all of the current upcoming projects. So the article starts out with Diego Luna talking about Andor, which I didn't realize that Andor was actually coming out this summer. I had forgotten that. I was thinking it was like later in the year, or
right, or maybe when his like figure was actually in our consciousness. I don't know. Rogue One was a long time ago.
But but it's funny. He was, like I said, he was talking about, he was in a cab ride in Mexico City, his home, and he was like talking to the director of Andor, and it was like guarding like state secrets, to the point where he was like, I can't really talk about this in the car, but can I do I want to come back? Yeah, this is great. And so there was that piece, and also Mon Mothma, who was the leader of the Rebel Alliance, Return of the Jedi, and she's been prominent in Star Wars Rebels, and also Rogue One. So she'll be very prominent in this story. So it's kind of like a spy thriller, set during that time period, right? That sort of shows us how Cassian Andor ended up in the rebellion. So I'm looking forward to that series. Then of course Kathleen Kennedy talked about the missteps that they made with the trying to just churn out movies like they're churning out the TV shows now, and how even though critically and I guess fandom wise, Solo was probably the biggest miss of the theatrical releases, even though it still made like a shit ton of money. But she talked about, she used that like as an example of, we can't like go back and try to recast popular characters with younger actors. And that was kind of like, that's kind of disingenuous, because Star Trek did it just fine with recasting iconic actors and iconic roles, and the franchise did pretty well. But you know, it was a big puff piece with the article, so it was kind of like, okay, yeah, I get what you're trying to say there, trying to save face, but then it got the next thing, of course, they talked about the Mandalorian and how Favreau and Filoni were working on two different types of Mandalorian projects, and how they started to collaborate, and Favreau was pushing really hard for Baby Grogu, and Filoni was kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure about this. But of course, obviously, Favreau won today, and of course, really got everybody back on the Star Wars train with Grogu. So that was pretty interesting. Just reading about that, and again, we of course we talked about Obi-Wan, and of course Ewan McGregor and his 180 on coming back, because I guess like a lot of people, he was kind of like, I'm not sure about this, but because he saw the hate that people gave the prequels, and the prequels, especially Attack of the Clones, even to this day, it's hard. It's a hard watch. I have to admit, it's definitely in my lower third of the trilogies. But but now he's all excited about Obi-Wan, and how he had a sort of 180 on his view of the franchise, and decided to come back. I don't know if that'll ever happen with John Boyega, but at least it did for him, for Ewan. Hayden, again, talked about his journey with Star Wars, and excited to be back. Rosario Dawson with the Ashoka series, which will be in 2023. She had the opposite of Diego Luna, where Diego was just like treating things like state secrets. Rosario actually like spoiled the fact that Hayden is going to be in the Ashoka series.
I already knew that.
No. So according to this article, now it could be that Lucasfilm was trying to like save face and hold it back, because they all publicists do that. But according to the article, it's unconfirmed that Anakin Skywalker is going to be in the Ashoka series, because Ashoka is set after in the Mandalorian time period, because it's after Rebels, and so obviously Anakin will be a Force ghost now. So.
Oh, well, that just ruined it. Maybe that's why she said it, because.
Yeah. So she was like so she was like in full makeup, FaceTiming with a friend of hers and her friend's 8-year-old son, and he's like, hey, check this out. And then she like did a screenshot on Instagram in her story about, hey, with this big plot point.
What's Grammar Rodeo about?
So that's the one that John Watts, the Spider-Man No Way Home director, is going to be left the Fantastic Four to come to do that, and it's a series that takes place during the same time period as The Mandalorian, but it's a coming of age story about some at this point undefined characters during this time period after the fall of the Empire, but before the First Order. So not many details about it, but that's just a working title that they have for it right now. It's a little nod to The Simpsons.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
And then the other updates she apparently gave was that, yes, Taika Waititi is still making one. Haven't heard anything about Feige's. Reigns' new trilogy has been put on hold. And Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron is still in development, although she's not doing it, or I don't know really. But like this last line just cracks me up, and it's why I don't read the articles or follow the Star Wars stuff so much, because guys, I remember 2015 when Star Wars coming back, everybody was amped. And then next thing you know, we're like getting this trilogy, and then all of these other projects, and then slowly but surely Solo happened.
Yeah.
And then there was like a loss of momentum.
They did. They're like
were falling out left and right, and it's just ever since like the moment you pull a DC on me, which DC did it first because 2014, guys, is when The Rock announced Black Adam.
That's true.
I just could care less. I mean, we were talking about this before where I used to like our news shows. However, over the years, I have encountered PTSD from all of this shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we no longer can have nice things, Will, and I'm just tired of talking about it.
Well, and that's why, unless I see it in a trade, I don't talk about it on our show because, you'll see these like, oh, such and such person rumored to do XYZ. And sometimes, they will, some random Reddit will get it right. But most of the times it's like, nah, it's just some fan casting, even though Doctor Strange kind of like did give us one fan cast, but there are the exceptions.
Yeah, I think fan casting is interesting because there are people who like do it because they want to be right, and then there's that infamous clip from Kind of Funny where I think it was it was before Infinity War. They were randomly talking, and they basically just hypothesized about 4 or 5 big things that did end up happening, including No Way Home.
Yeah. Yep.
So like that kind of speculation I get on board with because you don't know, but it's fun to kind of be like, okay, this is what will happen. And then of course you'll forget about it because it's been so far removed. But while we're watching things or getting in preparation for things, that's where expectations are either too high, too low, or just like I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm over it. But the good news is though that now that we're getting further and further away from the pandemic, movie theaters opening back up. People are feeling the need to go back to the movies. We're getting to see these things on the big screen.
Yep.
And so there are things coming to the theaters, whether you believe it or not. Obi-Wan is not one of them, but just a reminder, it is coming out on May 27th. We will be talking about that show. And then I don't know if we're going to end up talking about this, but I'm sure Will's excited about it. I have heard great things about this movie, but Top Gun 2 Maverick is hitting theaters on May 27th as well.
Yeah.
Stranger Things Part 1 is dropping next week. See, Netflix, one of their biggest shows, Stranger Things, is now just evading my existence. I can't take the bloody noses. We've gone a long time without this season, and now we're getting it, but we're also getting it in 2 halves. Yeah. Because that has worked out so well for Ozark. I don't know.
Well, yeah, speaking of Stranger Things, so apparently the Netflix marketing arm licensed a Monopoly game out for Stranger Things. Yeah. And,
that has happened with toys as well.
Oh yeah. Totally. Like, it happens all the time.
It never ceases to amaze me when I hear like this got spoiled with this game or with this toy, and I'm just like, well, stop following the toys. Like, get burned once, but don't just keep doing it because you're gonna get screwed over again. They just want to make their money. There's a part of this that we forget that, like, if they're able to make like money off of selling merchandise, they're gonna do it. Okay, and you might get things spoiled, but yeah, I heard about that. That's pretty crazy. Was the spoiler just like the doll, like the nose bled? Because that's not a spoiler.
Apparently, according, I think.
Don't tell me the spoiler.
I'm not gonna tell you. No, it's apparently they just. I'm gonna tell you the spoiler. Only thing I know is apparently some of the game pieces had pivotal scenes on them. So, and the Duffer Brothers were just like super pissed off because apparently, yeah, it gives away some plot points that they were hoping to hold back. So we shall see.
Thank God they're never making the boys' toys.
Oh gosh,
I would love sick and twisted. They probably have. They're just sold in a different aisle.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not even in the same store. They're in a different store.
They're in a different store.
That's the only way that would make sense.
Yeah, you can get it off. Maybe they just have the boys section on Amazon.
So when I was looking at this, and I know I wrote this, but I swear to God, I had a moment where I was like, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is coming back on June 8th. And then I'm like, no. That just says Miss Marvel is coming on June 8th, and we're going to talk She-Hulk in just a moment, but I think it was kind of smart to, like, earlier this year, tell us about Miss Marvel, see the trailer, and right now everyone's talking about She-Hulk, and yet we're getting Miss Marvel first, but it allows the viewer to not have that trailer like in their mind as they're entering the show, because like we're too preoccupied talking about She-Hulk. And I think that's what lately has been doing with the movies, is like, whether it's Sorcerer Supreme dude, Doctor Strange, or the Batman, is that there's like this momentum of trailer, teaser, like leading up to the day of the opening.
Yeah.
To the point where as a viewer, you're just like, okay, I get it. You already got my money. Like, why? I don't want to know any more information about this. Hopefully they're going to continue this, and maybe even it'll rub off on how they advertise movies. But
they'll continue. I mean, but I've taken your approach to like trailers. I just I watch the teaser, I'll watch the official, but then all these little featurettes to like that they release during basketball games or football games or on social media. I don't look at them anymore. Because they definitely, you're right. They whether it's they have my money as far as a streaming service or going to the movie theater, I'm going to be there. So you don't need to like hype it up anymore. Right. At least for me.
Yeah. Right after Miss Marvel, then Jurassic World, which I haven't seen like any of the new movies.
I haven't either. I don't think. I haven't seen any of the new trilogy. I'm trying to remember, did I see the original trilogy? 2, 3, the third one in the original. I don't think I think I only stopped at Jurassic Park 2 in the first trilogy.
I don't remember the second or the third one. I probably have seen it, but I was so young then that I have no idea. I don't remember it all. I love hearing people react to those movies because they know their shit, but yeah. Then in July, we get Stranger Things Part 2.
Yeah. Part 2.
What?
Yeah. One thing about Part 2, so apparently the finales for this season are like feature length. The last, I think, 1 or 2 episodes of the Part 2. I did see that. So strap yourselves in for a couple hours, y'all, because it's their feature length finales.
I don't know how to feel about that. Yeah. But I do know how to feel about Thor: Love and Thunder. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I did like the screen. I did like that still shot we got, I think over the weekend of, or in the last week or beginning of this one with King Valkyrie and Mighty Thor sitting there. I thought that was, it's getting more. I'm very hyped for this film. Don't need another trailer, but yeah, I'll take a still.
And then in August we have Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. Who directed Bullet Train? You know?
Oh, no, I don't. Right off the top of my head, but
don't worry.
But I was gonna say, this is one of those films where I saw the trailer when I was watching Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and it's one of those things that kind of sneaky, like, fascinates me, where I'm like, I might actually go to the theater to catch this one.
Yeah, I forgot about it, and then when I was trying to figure out what was coming out this summer, I saw this on the list, and then I instantly remembered. I'm like, that's the one with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
He's on a train.
Yeah.
And there's fighting, and I agree. It's kind of one of those quirky movies where I'm like, this could be kind of original and a good time. We'll see. August is a few months away.
Yeah.
It feels like it's going to take forever to get here, but
yeah. Oh yeah.
the fact that it took one trailer and all I had to do was read the title and I instantly know what it was. I'm like, okay, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah. And actually the director of it was the director of Deadpool 2. David Leitch. Leitch. Yep.
All right. Well, I figured that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So now, Will, what did you think about the She-Hulk trailer?
What did I think about the trailer? I got to pause here. I liked it. I'm not, I don't know if I'm like super hyped for the show.
I liked it. I really, really liked it, but I didn't really like it too.
Well, obviously a lot of complaints that people are complaining about the CG, and I'm sort of like, well, I'm not, fine. It's a trailer. They'll probably polish it before. I mean, even though she, no, well, true. Well, as long as she doesn't look like, what was the in Shrek, Shrek's,
Fiona.
Fiona, yes. As long as she doesn't look like Fiona.
I'm tired of that comparison. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah, I know. But that's the one that comes to mind. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, that's just the one that comes to mind when I first thought about it. But
it comes to your mind and everyone else's mind. Honestly, I never thought that while watching the trailer.
I did. I mean, this is even before I was like, why does this seem so familiar to me? And then I saw someone did a mock-up. Someone did some art on a poster with the original one with Fiona walking, and I was just like, that's what it was. But anyway,
it's just weird because like Fiona, I just remember as being like thicker.
Yeah.
And like She-Hulk didn't look thick. I thought Space Jam.
Oh yeah,
that is where my mind went as soon as, especially when she was in the shorts at the beginning. I was just like, why does this remind me of Space Jam? She looks like an alien. Honestly, I was not upset at the CGI. I feel like I've seen worse CGI. Yeah. Opening sequence of Doctor Strange too. But I guess maybe it's because I'm just a fan of Tatiana, where I feel like she's gonna deliver and be able to match what Mark Ruffalo brought to Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed. I was surprised. I don't know why I was surprised. Probably because I forget things, or I force myself to forget things, so I am surprised. But I was happy to see Bruce. Yeah. I see a lot of him. I see their interactions. This honestly gave me a lot of Hawkeye feels.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
And that's what worries me.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Hawkeye. I mean, I did. But I'm
forgetful.
I don't know. I'm to the place where we were just talking about this at Miss Marvel a few minutes ago. I want them to spread things out, because I feel like I'm just getting saturated with Marvel now, and even at Star Wars too. It used to be like special, and now it's just like I'm dipping in. It's almost I'm dipping into this universe like every 2 months. It feels like now, because
no, I don't have a problem with that because it's consistent, and I know it's all in one universe. And these characters are interacting, and there's these teases. And I mean, I was listening to people talk about how much potential Shang-Chi crossover. I had forgotten about some of the stuff that happened in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, so Wong
related to Hulk.
Yeah. So Wong and Abomination are in this
right.
show, And
exactly, which leads to the questions about when the timeline is, like,
yeah,
where is this, when is this set? And to go back to my point is that I think maybe that's my problem with Star Wars, where I feel like I'm just oversaturated with the content, the drama, and these stories, because they all circle back despite what everyone says. No, we're done with this. No, are you? Are you? Grogu. But I feel like with Marvel, yes, it's a lot of content, but there's all these differences, and you're getting these new characters, and you're getting these new stories.
yeah.
And I don't know. I do see maybe a drop in the level that they're playing out with the storytelling.
Yeah.
But I also think that they're expanding enough to where maybe they're trying to reach people who weren't as engaged because of the stories that they're looking to tell now.
True.
So
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you put it like that, it is very comic booky. I mean, it really is, because I'm a collector, and there'll be arcs in series that will have tie-ins to other books, and you got to get that book. You got to go buy that other book for it, and what you said that made me think about that is when you were talking about the story, because just like in comic books, there'll be arcs that just knock it out of the park, and then there'll be some arcs or some issues that are just kind of meh, and some are just plain out bad. And so it is starting to it is replicating that now, but now just in live action, that vibe. So I do get that. So maybe fatigue was maybe too strong of a word. Now that when you frame it, how you framed it with the storytelling.
You liked Strange more than I did.
I did.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Because this is what Will does. He says, "Oh, I'm so tired. I'm exhausted," and then he goes to it, and he's like a kid in Candy Store. He's like, "This is awesome."
Well, it's not, I will. Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. Fatigue may have been a strong word, but I do feel that I would like a little bit of separation. I will stand by that, because it's becoming. I won't say it's not become
tropey.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
It's especially like what we were dealing with Strange and watching Star Trek is where. Especially when we have like DC and Marvel and maybe a sci-fi show all at the same time, like the multiverse.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can't. I want maybe one of you to focus on that and the others to do something different, so I don't feel like I'm being told the same story each week in 3 different ways.
Exactly.
So I think when you put it that way, it makes more sense to me with where the fatigue is coming from. It's just lately it feels like it's not just Marvel, but just between Marvel, DC, and other shows that we tend to geek out about. Why y'all reading the same book right now?
Yeah. And that's why it's so refreshing that The Boys will be here, because it just goes in a whole different direction, and I am so looking forward to it. And even like Invincible, because that's one we like got onto last year. Even though I know you're not as big a fan of like animated work, but
I watched that whole thing. And I watched What If. I watched a few animated shows. Will just has to convince me.
I have to convince you. Even though we both, I think neither one of us have like jumped on the Arcane bandwagon, but I tried it, but I just couldn't get to it.
Yeah, but if Will tries it and couldn't get into it, then I'm not even gonna try it.
But She-Hulk, but I think overall, but one thing I will say that I did like about the story, like you said, the Banner, Jennifer interactions, and also I'm very curious with this concept of the superheroes attorney lawyer, because we have, obviously we have that with Daredevil and Matt Murdock, but also we'll see this fleshed out more. So I'm intrigued by that, and also I guess this is kind of like a comedy drama, so we'll see how well they do that in this universe. So it's worked with
a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, especially with that. Yeah, especially with that end scene. Yeah, scene with like she's like carrying a guy out for a hookup. Yeah, I mean.
Well, it's the mid-20s. I don't have a boyfriend. Yeah. Romantic thing. Maybe not a comedy. Maybe more of like, oh, I'm fine being alone. I don't know, but I get what they're doing, because there were some scenes that like made me think of old romantic comedy trailers of movies from the mid 2000s. So
yeah.
Like I'm surprised Kate Hudson didn't flash up somewhere in the trailer. Where?
For sure.
But we'll see. Yeah, it's always good to get a new character, new member of the family.
Yep.
Bruce, I love you. But that is enough about summer movies and TV. Before we go, though, another episode of We Own This City dropped. And, they maybe that's why I didn't like this episode, Will, because I was talking to you about it before. And it's not like it's a bad episode again. It's similar feelings that I had last week. But there is a moment where Jenkins says the name of the show, and I did not like that. I was like, really? Why?
Too meta.
Why do you? No. Like we were raving about the writing, and then they did that, and I'm like, what? It did. Yeah. It's not even that they put it in the script. Just the way it was said, I'm just like, oh, that's like. I'm surprised you weren't looking directly at the camera.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was pretty fourth. It was fourth wall on top of meta on top of fourth wall.
It was so bad. It was bad. But
I had to admit I had to stop this episode because I was it takes it takes a lot to like not. There's a lot going on. And there's a lot of characters, a lot of time jumping, and you really have to be. It's one of those shows that you have to be focused and alert.
Yes.
So to really enjoy. So I started it, and then I was like, it was a long day, so I had to stop it because I was just drifting off. But not to say that to me it was a bad episode. Quite the contrary. I really, because when I picked it up the next day, I was like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't try to power through, because there were a lot of, even though there was that scene of Jenkins and the team with that moment, with the other, I think what I'm really enjoying about this show is, Jenkins is like the lead guy who all this corruption with this unit is the eye of that hurricane. But hearing the other people's perspectives and even the people, the law enforcement, the prosecutors, the investigators, like one of the things that stuck out with me was like the one investigator when she was just commented how I almost blew this whole investigation because I was about to tell Jenkins that we are investigating. So those are those moments where if one thing had happened, that unit could conceivably be still going today. So
I think it shows why it went on as long as it did.
Yeah.
It's because people were able to make them come off or make it seem differently, and so people who might have blew the whistle weren't let in because they didn't realize. So I agree that It is interesting. To me, this episode and last week's episode, I almost feel like it could have been aired back to back, because there's something about what's happening right now where I feel like there's not as much forward momentum as with the first couple of episodes, where right now we're just like, okay, filling out the story. We're more going expanding than like following a path. And I understand like the escalation and the descent that not only Jenkins is going through, but who he's brought with him down and kind of taken down. But I don't know, there's something about it where I feel like we were introduced to a lot of people in the first episode, and we were touching on their stories, their connection to Jenkins. But now it feels like every week we're getting another character, and I'm like, well, where have you been?
We saw you.
And maybe it's a time. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it where it's not as connecting with me. I still feel like the first episode and the second episode are the best. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I feel like the last one is going to probably be the best episode, but we'll see. I kind of wish I was able to binge this. I'm not going to lie, because I binged this first 5 seasons of The Wire. Mm-hmm. And there's just something about this writing style where I'm just like, I just want to binge this.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I mean, I think, it does, having a week between each episode, keeping track of all the various things that were going on between, 2013 and jumping to 2017, it does require effort on the viewer to keep track of all the things that are going on.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. But on that note, Will, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Will M. Polk, WILLMPOLK.
You can find me at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at SNN Nerd. Friend us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, scene_n_nerd. And visit our website, www.scenennerdpodcast.com. But most importantly, rate, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Good night, geek out. You're welcome.